Right, guys, back for another one on the book of Hebrews. And it ought to be called the book of Hebrews Lies. That's just my opinion, but there are several in here. But we're going to go up on a passage here that it preserves a reading that used to be in our Gospels at Jesus' baptism, which is great. So it's like ironic that there's so much bad in this book, but the silver lining here is verse 5, because it says, "For unto which of the angels said he at any time, Thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee. And again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son." So this is a verse that is echoing what Jesus was told at his baptism by God. And he said, "This day I have begotten thee," from heaven. And so that is a little bit of a chink in the armor for the Trinitarians, because Jesus was begotten on that day by God, not at a time in the distant past. For those that suppose he pre-existed. But he didn't pre-exist. That's just the nature of this deception, is to make Jesus look like he pre-existed, but he didn't. But this is a good thing here, that this preserves that reading, because it was actually taken out of our manuscripts. It used to be in our Bibles, and it was taken out. It's still preserved in, for example, the Codex Bezae, and but it was taken out by Jerome in the Vulgate, and from thence on it was been never reproduced to our Bibles. We need to get that back in there, because it affirms when Jesus wasn't begotten in a time long past or an eternity. It was begotten right there at his baptism, and so yeah, it's great to have it back in there. At least we get to see it in the book of Hebrews. It was prophesied by King David in Psalms 2:7. So I mean, it's good to at least that's there. So moving on. So again, when he bringeth in the first begotten into the world, he saith, "And let all the angels of God worship him. And of the angels he saith, who maketh his spirits as angel spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. But unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom." So this is a mistranslation. This introduces a Septuagint mistranslation, where he says in verse 8, "But unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O God," as he would refer. I want you to suppose that he's referring to Jesus as God, but this is from the Septuagint, a Greek translation of the Bible, for you that don't know of the Hebrew, and it was done in Ptolemaic Egypt under the rule of a pagan emperor, more or less, or a pagan pharaoh, I guess you'd say, in Egypt. But yeah, it's got a lot of error in it. Septuagint does, so that's good to keep in mind. "Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity. Therefore God, even thy God, hath anointed thee with oil of gladness above thy fellows." This is true. There's some truth in here mixed in with the misinterpretations, the glaring lies that are in it, and they're going to mix in. That's kind of the nature of those that are in league with the devil, is that they want to deceive you by subtlety, and not just overwhelming you with every line of the book. They do throw some good in there. It's kind of their way. And thou, O Lord, in the beginning hast laid the foundations of the earth, and the heavens are the work of thine hands. They shall perish, but thou remainest, and they all shall wax old as a garment, and as a vesture thou shalt fold them up, and they shall be changed. But thou art the same, and thy years shall not fail. But to which of the angels said he at any time, Sit on my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool? Are they not all ministering spirits set forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of the salvation? This is the end of chapter 1, and there's a lot in there that's no good. Jesus' pre-existence, the chief of the most, that's in there that's no good. And at least they're ousting the Trinitarian doctrine. I don't know how that got out. They put this in our Bibles, and it seems like they wanted to take it out, but it's here in the book of Hebrews. Can't believe it. So, moving on to chapter 2. It says, "Therefore we ought to give the more earnest heed to all things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip. For if the word spoken by angels was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a recompense or reward, how shall we escape if we neglect too great a salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord, and confirmed unto us by them that heard him? God also bearing them witness, but both with signs and wonders, and with diverse miracles, and gifts of the Holy Ghost, according to his own will. So, he is supposing that God bears them witness by signs, wonders, and divine miracles, and gifts of the Holy Ghost. Now, this is entirely true. That God warns us not to be bewitched by them that have signs and miracles, and if they don't speak in the name of the Lord, and again, according to his law. And in Deuteronomy 13, just one real quick, I'll read it to you. Oh, really? There we go. All right, it says, Deuteronomy 13, 1 through 5. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or wonder, and that sign or wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, Let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God proveth you, to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after the Lord your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice. You shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, and thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. And this is God warning events, them that have signs and miracles that take away from God's other appointments. His law, his precepts, and that's apostasy against the law. That's what the definition of apostasy is. And just because somebody has signs and wonders and they can work a miracle, that's not any reason to follow them. It says here that that's possible in Deuteronomy. So we got to watch out for that. Just because they got signs and miracles doesn't mean that they're from God. Apparently the devil can work lying miracles too, and he has. So, for unto the angels hath he not put in subjection the world to come whereof we speak, but one in a certain place testified, saying, What is man that thou art mindful of him, or the son of man that thou visitest him? Thou madest him a little lower than the angels. Thou crownest him with glory and honor, and didst set him over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things in subjection under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not under him. But now we see not yet all things put under him, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of God, should taste death for every man. Now, if you'll notice, he says that Jesus here is made a little bit lower than the angels, but in the earlier chapter here, in chapter 1, he said, being made so much better than the angels, that he hath by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. So here he's going along the lines of Jesus descending from heaven down into bodily form, and being reduced to somebody that's a little less than the angels. Now, you see how he does that little flip there, and that's what I've been telling you guys. Jesus didn't pre-exist, and he's a man like us. So, but he was chosen by God, and now he's king over Israel, and will be when God restores the fortunes of the remnant, and them that were also faithful to him through time, and they'll be raised from the dead. And then they'll serve him in Zion, and there they'll be. There won't be any wicked to worry about. God will make a diligent search, say, hey, where's the wicked at? We better make sure we find out where they're at, they won't be anywhere to be found. It says they'll be sought for diligently and they'll not be found. So, I mean, that'd be good. I think that'd be good. So, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels, for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of God, should taste death for every man. For it became him, for who are all things, and by whom are all things, and bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For both he that sanctified and they who are sanctified are all one. For which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare thy name unto my brethren, in the midst of the church will I sing praise unto thee. And again I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children which God hath given me. Nothing too grievous in there. So moving on here, verse 14. For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that though death he might destroy him that had power of death, that is the devil, and deliver him who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For verily he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. Wherefore in all things it behoved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself hath suffered being tempted, he is able to succor them that are tempted. Okay, so that's a grievous. That's about as grievous as it gets, folks. And let me tell you why. Because he says that he took onto him the seed of Abraham. Jesus was the seed of Abraham by the way of King David. And that's why he's even eligible to be the king of Israel and the Messiah. That's the prophecy, is that he's of the root of Jesse, and that it'll be from King David's loins. Who was the fruit of his loins? Peter talks about it in Acts 2:31. I mean, that's the whole thing, is that Jesus was a Jewish man of the Messiah. And that's what made him the Messiah, is because he was born of the line of King David. It's not the fact that this guy just came down from heaven and possessed this body, and there was no person inside of it or anything. This somehow makes him a seed of Abraham. That doesn't make you a seed of Abraham. What makes you the seed of Abraham is that your father has a continuous line, back to Abraham. Well, in particular, the seed of Israel. It was the important part here. When it's the line of Judah, the tribe of Judah. You have to have a continuous male line on down the line to the king. Everybody knows that. It's even to this day, the woman takes the male's name, and that's how we pass our line on, just through the male. The woman never ever pass the line on. It's just that's the issue. It's a big issue. Whereof in all things it behoved him to be made like unto his brethren, it said. That Abraham, he was his brother. He was brother to his brother. That's who he was. He was a guy like you and I. Only that he was, a son of Israel. And so, yeah, crazy. So I'm just going to end it here. Going on to chapter 3 next. So stay tuned for more.